What does it take to get a job and live a fulfilling life? For some, they are one college degree away and they are where they want to be. For this native rural Thai Tah, however, it's 2 full days of road trips and trekking across the Thai-Cambodian border, and still, she wasn't anywhere even close. Born and raised in Damnon Saduak district of Ratchaburi, 2 hours southwest of Bangkok, Tah had never once traveled outside the country. Being unemployed and stuck at home during the pandemic, she dreamed of simply saving enough money to start a business.
คุณก็ต้องไปหางานที่มีค่าจ้างสูงๆโดยที่เราก็ตอนนั้นไม่ได้คิดอะไรคือเพื่อนไปได้ข้อความจากไหนไม่รู้ก็ส่งมาทางแชทให้เราเราก็อ่านไม่เห็นน่าสนใจเนาะเงินเดือน 24,000 กินอยู่ฟรีพร้อมที่พักซึ่งเราคิดว่าถ้าไม่เสียค่ากินไม่เสียค่าที่พักค่าเหลือเต็มๆนะ
The package appeared to be a no-brainer. Next thing she knew, she was trekking through a sugarcane plantation, crossing the border from Thailand to Cambodia illegally, and after a couple of bumpy road trips, Tah arrived at a hotel where she thought she would be working at an online customer service job. Except there was no job for the first few days.
เท่าแก่บอกว่างานตรงนี้ยังไม่พร้อมเขาเอาไปฝากพวกเขาไว้ก่อนเราไม่เข้าใจหรอกคำว่าฝากเราเข้าใจแค่คำว่าฝากแต่เราไม่รู้เรายังไม่รู้ถึงคำว่าขายต่อ
There was no free lunch. An online customer service job turned out to be a telefraud scheme. Tah and her colleagues were required to approach targets and try to scam them into investing in stocks on a platform that was just illegitimate. The clients of victims would never get any returns or the initial capital back. This is one of the many scams operated in the country. The telefraud comes in many forms, which are able to scam the money out of the victims, from phony investment invitations to basic scams, social engineering, or deceiving victims to just wire the money to their bank accounts. The tele scam, or the so-called call center gangs in a Thai context, stole 1.6 billion baht from thousands of people in Thailand last year, many of whom are left penniless, falling victims to the scam. Actually, people on both ends of the phone line are victims of this form of transnational organized crime, where one of them loses their money and the other their freedom. Those trafficked to the ring are left with no choice but to become a scammer, while millions of baht go into the pockets of the ringleaders. Reluctant scam callers are paid a low wage and often fall prey by debt manipulation and ultimately become stuck in forced labor.
ก็คือคุณไม่มีวันที่จะได้เห็นเงินคุณที่คุณทำหยุดงานใช่หยุดกันกำหนดคำว่าเกินกำหนดของเขาก็คือเหมือนประมาณว่า3 ครั้งต่อเดือนหรือ4 ครั้งโดยที่คุณจะต้องเสียค่าปรับทั้งหมด 1,000 กับอีก30 ดอลซึ่งเรายังไม่ได้เงินอะไรกันสักบาทตั้งแต่มาอยู่แล้วเราจะเอาที่ไหนไปเสียถ้า
Those failing to meet the work expectation and are unable to pay the arbitrary fines sometimes became victims of enforced disappearance. People facing this situation, such as Tah and her colleagues, must try to run. They mostly do so by reporting to authorities for deportation. Tah earned a total of only $100 for the scamming job after being there for roughly 6 weeks. She and other victims of human trafficking working for the telefraud ring were already under the protection of the authorities and awaiting repatriation when Thai PBS World interviewed her.
คือดีไหมดีตรงที่ว่าพวกหนูไม่ต้องอยู่แบบทาสแล้วเงินไม่ได้ไม่เป็นไร
In Thailand, telefraud is making the headlines daily. Sometimes it's sensational, with people coming up with creative ways to beat the scammers at their own game. Other times, it's more dramatic and serious when scammers gain millions of baht at the expense of someone somewhere. Thai police are attempting to tackle this type of crime, not only to prevent fraud, but also to rescue human trafficking victims. Since October last year, approximately 1,000 people have been rescued from the ring in Cambodia. Not everyone rescued got to return home though.
คนไหนเนี่ยที่ตั้งใจนะครับออกไปนอกราชอาณาจักรไปทำงานนอกราชอาณาจักรกับส่วนที่ ถูกหลอกไปนะครับต้องมาคัดแยกให้ชัดเจนนะครับในส่วนที่ตั้งใจไปนะครับเราก็ต้องดำเนินคดี
The Thai Police Chief Suwat Jang Yot Suk visited Cambodia last month to discuss the issue with his Cambodian counterpart. Both Thai and Cambodian police are currently collaborating to crack down all the tele-fraud rings involving Thai citizens, vowing to reduce them down to zero. Meanwhile, victims of human trafficking who were hopeful the job in the neighboring country might lead their life somewhere are already back at ground zero.
ถ้ามีคนโทรมาทำงานแอดมินอีกมา
ไม่
ไม่มาแล้วแน่
ไม่และจะบอกด้วยว่ามันไม่มีอะไรที่ได้มาง่ายๆเลยในโลกนี้
ทุลิปนาคสมภพเปล่า ชลันลักษณ์ จันทร์วันเพ็ญ ไทย PBS World